Urban, ethical, authentic, sports, entertainment, something for the old, something for the new, something for everybody in between. We leave nothing untouched. We are Spoon 107.5 FM.
Pleasant good afternoon to you wherever it is you listening to us from across Liberia. We're live on Spoon 107.5 FM, Fabric 101.1, and a host of other stations relaying us all across Liberia. We keep getting text messages and calls from various community radio stations across the country expressing interest in relaying the pulse. My name is Diamond Slanger. I'm the host of the flagship afternoon program here on the Spoon Network titled The Pulse. We also live on Facebook, Spoon TV, Super TV, Fabric TV, and of course on YouTube. Our handle is Spoon Talk. A lot happening in the country. For those of you watching us from all around the world, we love to say pleasant day to you. The show is jam-packed today. It's so packed, like I try to make, comparison to Waterside Market, dress by dress, push and pass. We got too many things to share with you today and far less time to do so. So today we'll go straight into the action. A lot happening in the country. 7 lawmakers representatives have been named at the Liberia National Police as persons of interest in an ongoing capital arson investigation. Who is a person of interest? And why does the police or investigators label individuals as persons of interest? We'll talk about that as well. And as I said, the show's so packed until, we have to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Well, we have the Information Minister, Honorable Jeremic Matthew Pia, as our guest, our main guest on the show today. But also, we have Chairman passing through. We have Chairman Janga Ko of the CDC. He will be joining us via the phone for a brief conversation. And also, Chairman Luther Tape of the ruling Unity Party is also going to be a phone-in guest. Remember on yesterday, commemorating the 1-year anniversary of the rescue inauguration and rescue taking over power, Chairman Luther Tape made a statement that has semblances to that made by then Chairman Moluba Moro of the CDC. That look, Unity partisans who fought, who struggled, who were all in the mud or in the water should be appointed to key political positions. Then others said, oh no, what is Chairman Tapper saying? Is he saying that other qualified Liberians who are not Unity partisans or who didn't fight for this government to come to power shouldn't be given top government jobs? Is he making a divisive statement? Is he making a statement that now borders on, trying to exclude others? Or is he saying the fair truth that political reward is not in heaven, it's right here on earth? That if you struggle and you suffer, you should be rewarded. Well, who better to interpret his own words than the Unity Party chairman himself? He will join us via the phone. Another trending issue: arrest one, arrest all. Those were some of the words from CDC Chairman Janga Ko. Well, he is going to appear via the phone. That's why you need to share this program with your friends and your loved ones. This is where the heartbeat of the nation is heard. We do not give you hearsay. We bring the horses, the persons concerned, to speak to you. At 4 p.m., Information Minister Honorable Jeremic Pia will be our guest on the show. Minister Pia will be answering questions concerning 1 year of the Unity Party-led government. What has been the achievements? What has been the challenges, the opportunities missed or opportunities that were, taken advantage of? What is expected this year of the Unity Party administration and everything else in between? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the pause. 7 representatives named. Well, one of those include Representative Frank Safoko of Montserrado County, District Number 9. Speaking of the District Number 9 representative, he appeared on our flagship program, Spoon Talk, last night via the phone and said he was awaiting arrest. Justice Minister Oswald Twe said there's been no arrest warrant for any lawmakers, including embattled Speaker Kofa. But on today, the same Justice Ministry wrote the legislature saying that, look, these people are persons of interest. They've got information. At exactly 10 minutes after 3 p.m., in about 3 minutes, we'll be speaking to Representative Frank Safoko. Situation has changed. Last night on Spoon Talk, he said he wasn't informed of anything. Whenever the police needs him, the police calls him up and he goes to the police station. Now that the whole dynamics has shifted, what next? Where is he? How is he going to respond that he has been officially named and requested for by the Liberia National Police? Kindly do share the show, and while we're getting into all of these things, you can win 20,000 Liberian dollars just like that. You have to go stay online. You have to do anything. All you need to do is to dial *799 *80# because today is jackpot day. *799 *799 *80#. Play with 200 Liberian dollars or $1.50 if you're using your USD wallet and stand a chance of winning 20,000 Liberian dollars right now, instantly. And also your name will be drawn in the pool of names to win a house at the end of this month. So let's place a call now to the representative of Montserrado County, District Number 9, Representative Frank Safoko, to bring us up to speed with situation as it is. Good afternoon to you, Honorable Frank Safoko. You live on the pause.
Hey, Tama, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Yes, I'm okay, brother. I'm good. No worries.
All right. So the Ministry of Justice has written the House of Representatives, naming 7 representatives, with you included. Are you aware of any such communication, sir? Person of interest in the Capital Answer investigation?
I just came across the paper and I saw that. That's it. Yeah, I saw you. I'm aware.
Did they communicate to you officially, or you were communicated to by the house's leadership?
Yeah, I think I've not seen a direct communication for just me, but I mean I saw it through the house's leadership.
Okay, so the house's leadership sent you a communication, or how did you get it from them?
No, I think I saw it on social media.
On social media.
Yes.
Have you authenticated? Have you cared to know if it's real in this day of misinformation?
No, not yet. I will do that later. I'll just been engaged with one or two, and as soon as possible, I will try to reach out.
So now that you have officially been named as a person of interest, why do you think you are labeled as along with the rest as persons of interest? What is the interest there in you, Representative Focal?
I mean, I have always been a person of interest from the onset of the Capitol building issue, and basically, I don't think it's a problem. As a peaceful, law-abiding citizen, once the police needs me to do some inquiries, I make myself available along with my lawyer, and I go there to know exactly what those concerns are. I mean, what I can answer to, I answer to it. Or, I mean, what I don't have idea to answer to. I mean, I believe in my mind, I should be here to, help the police in making sure that, the right thing is done in keeping with our laws.
Now, on last night's Spoon Talks edition, you mentioned that you've been cooperating with the police along with your legal counsel or your legal team. Have you now contacted them? What's the new development legally now that you've gotten an official communication labeled as a person of interest?
So basically, like I said, I encountered this communication on social media, and I will definitely reach out as soon as possible to authenticate the paper once it is, once it is true. Trust me, it's no problem to drive to the charge of water. I will definitely drive there the time they need me. Whether communication or not, I've been operating with the police just via telephone call. They would just call me on the phone or send me text message and I'll be available. So I've been making it official by writing me, I respect that, and I should be available to assist the police in their investigation.
All right. Representative Foucault, what's your mindset right now? There are others who are terming this as a witch hunt, as a political ploy to come after many of you who are deemed critical voices. What's your mindset right now when it comes to where you at?
Basically right now I don't want to speak to anything about my mindset. When I'm done with what I'm doing, I will get back to my lawyer, authenticate the communication. Once it is right, I will officially speak to the public, most especially for the people that are represented in District Number 9. But for now, I want to hold every other word in keeping with what is on mind and let address it legally.
Are you anywhere connected to the Capitol Inferno?
Sorry?
Are you in any way connected to the Capitol Inferno? What happened on December 18? Are you connected to that in any way?
No, obviously, no doubt. Dama, you and I grew up together. You know me to some extent. I obviously would never be involved with such act if it was actually done by men, I would never support that. I can never be part of such. So if the information our son is actually true, we pray that God help us in this matter to reveal or show whoever that was involved. And, there are some issues sometimes that are bigger than man and God can solve it. So we pray that God helps our country, whatever the case. But again, there is no issue, absolutely no issue. I'm basically here as a law-abiding citizen working for the people of Liberia. I should make myself available whenever the police need me. And once it is done the right way, trust me, I'll be available.
All right, Representative Frank Safoko, thank you so much. You allotted us 5 minutes of your time, and we appreciate that from you. Representative Frank Safoko speaking to us via the phone. So I'll read out the communication and we'll play the video as it was read on the House's floor this afternoon. Later we'll join Haji Masale, who is one of our legislative reporters. One of our legislative correspondents is Haji Masale. So this is the communication from the Ministry of Justice to the House of Representative Leadership. It reads, Republic of Liberia, the Charles B. Alphonsus Kane Building, Headquarters of the Liberia National Police, Ministry of Justice, Monrovia, Liberia, Office of the Inspector General of Police, with the reference code and all of that. January 21, 2025. Honorable Richard N. Kuhn, Speaker. Honorable House of Representatives, Capitol Building, Monrovia, Liberia. Reference: request for engagement with persons of interest in ongoing police investigation. Dear Honorable Speaker, the Liberia National Police, the LNP, extends its highest regard to you and members of the House of Representatives. We acknowledge the gravity of the recent fire incident at the Capitol building and its profound impact on our nation's legislative activities and heritage. As part of the ongoing investigations into this unfortunate event, the LNP has identified several persons of interest whose insights could be crucial to uncovering the circumstances surrounding the incident. Given the sensitive nature of this investigation and the need for transparent proceedings, we would like to inform you that we have identified members of your house as persons of interest to this ongoing investigation, and we will be calling them for questioning. Those concerned are J. Fonati Kofa, Honorable Frank Sa Foko, Honorable Abu B. Kamara, Honorable Dixon W. Sibo, Honorable Priscilla Cooper, Honorable J. Marvin Cole, and Honorable Jacob C. Dibby. So these 7 representatives, according to the police, are persons of interest, including embattled Speaker J. Fonati Kofa. So this communication was read on the House's floor. We'll listen to that video, and we'll connect with Haji Masale, who is one of our legislative correspondents.
The sensitive nature of this investigation and the need for transparent proceedings, we would like to inform you that we have identified members of your house as persons of interest to this ongoing investigation and will be calling them for questioning. Those concerned are 1. Honorable J. Fonati Kofa, 2. Honorable Sa Foko, 3. Honorable Abu B. Kamara, 4. Honorable Dixon W. Sibo, 5. Honorable Priscilla A. Cooper, 6. Honorable J. Marvin Cole, 7. Honorable Jacob C. Debbie. The LMP is committed to conducting this investigation professionally to ensure that all individuals' rights are respected. We are confident that the cooperation of the House of Representatives will significantly enhance our efforts to prevent future occurrences of such incidents. We respectfully request a meeting with the identified representatives at a convenient time to discuss the terms and framework of their participation in this investigation. The LMP is prepared to provide any necessary support and coordinate closely with your office to ensure a smooth and effective process. We appreciate your understanding and support in this matter of national importance. Sincerely, Gregory O. W. Coleman, Inspector General, Liberia National Police. CC, Honorable Nyobli Kankala.
There you have it. As the communication was read on the House's floor where they do caucus at the Monrovia City Hall. In attendance was also some of those who were named, excluding those who have been suspended. We have Haji Masale on the line. Good afternoon to you, Haji. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay, Donald.
Haji, you do cover the House of Representatives for the Spoon Network. Tell us how the hall was when this particular communication was read, and who were those named present as it was being read.
So you just read out the 7 lawmakers who named were called out by the Liberian National Police, but Kofa, Representative Kofa was not in attendance because in all of the country, there are the embattled speakers, so to speak. Jay Maviko is on a suspension. Abu Kamara is serving suspension, so the 3 were not present. But Jacob Debbie was in session today. Presidio Kopo was in session. Dixon Wulawi Sibo was also in session. So they were kind of surprised when their names, were read in plenary, because the letter sent to the House of Representatives is a property of plenary, so it had to be decided by all 73 lawmakers, who will be present, in session. So it was presented to the floor for discussion, for way forward. So making a motion, Representative Williams from Maryland County, first he stated that this is a grave concern, and it has to do with the burning of the house. So this letter should be open for discussion. I mean, everybody should participate. It should be in the full glare of the public. So Representative Clarence Garr from Margibi County and all of you lawmakers who thought that it was not necessary because this has to do with their colleagues and they should handle it maturely. So it shouldn't be discussed in the public or discussed openly like that. So leadership of the House of Representatives should take siege of the matter and find a way forward. So at the close of the session, the speaker announced that all those involved, all the 7, including Imparto Speaker Fonati Kofa, should meet him tomorrow at noon in his office so that they can discuss ways how they can be turned over to the police or whatever best they can do so that they can cooperate with the Liberian National Police investigation.
Did you speak to any of the 7 concerned, those who were present, and if so, what did they say concerning their names being announced as persons of interest in the capital arson investigation?
So, honestly, we didn't talk to any of them because right after the gavel of the speaker, came down for adjournment, many of them, got in our vehicles and left. But when you can see in the video on Spoon page, I pinned the camera when they were reading the names of the lawmakers. You saw Representative Dixon Sibo sitting, in a surprised mood while his name was being read out. Representative Presidio Cooper too, the ballot language does not seem okay, and Representative Debbie had to leave, before session was adjourned. So that's how the whole session went.
Now, quickly to other news of Capitol Hill. What was the issue about? You eat your show, let me eat my show. You eat your parking space, let me eat my own. What's going on? Because we're getting information that there's been an ousting for parking space. And how important is parking space there at the House of Representatives? And what parking space are we talking about?
So this parking lot here is designated for the speaker, exclusively the speaker, because his office is just on top of that place. And you have that place designated for the speaker. You have another area designated for the deputy speaker. The rest of the other parking lots, anybody can park. Because those areas have not been marked like what the Senate did. The Senate marked the area like Representative 1. Senator 1, you come and park here. Senate 2, you park here, on the basis of the counties. But for the House of Representatives, it's not like that.
So which parking space are we talking about, Haji?
we are talking, but I'm giving you the rundown of how parking, spaces are, arranged for lawmakers.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the Senate, you have 1, 2, 3, like one for Sir Joseph, 2 for Dallas, 3, just like that, in that order. So the spaces there is written on the parking lot with your counting number, like 1, 2, 3. But for the House of Representatives, only the speaker gets a designated parking space. The deputy speaker has a designated parking space. The rest you can park anywhere. Okay, so now for the speaker park, since the entire episode started, Honorable Fonati Kofa have been parking to the speaker parking space. Even in absence, when they first started in absence, some of the office staffers would take some vehicles and go and park there so that the majority block, those speaker cannot park there, or anybody else, shouldn't park there. So that has been going on, back and forth, until in recent time where Honorable Nangbe Kun have taken over that particular parking space, and from the look of things, Fonati Kofa does not have interest in the parking area again, because his office staffers are not carrying vehicles to park there to secure the area and so forth. So it's like he has abandoned that particular parking space. So Honorable Richard Nangwekun, the majority block speaker or endorsed speaker by the government, is parking there. Then for the representative plate, because whenever there is change in leadership of the House of Representatives, everything else changes. For example, the plates. Representative 1 goes to the speaker, representative 2 goes to the deputy speaker, 3 go to the chair on executive, and so forth. Now, Honorable Kofa have been occupying, in possession of representative 1 for time immemorial up to today. We saw that the representative 1 is with Honorable Richard Nangwekun. Yeah, so the rest of the place, like 2 is with the deputy speaker, but 3 stay with the whole committees. So it will have to be arranged, again, where all committees, all former committee, heads will have to turn a place over so it can be reassigned to the legitimate committee members.
Haji, just in a minute, how significant is this? Others might say it's just a license plate, but this plate is the official plate of the Speaker of the Republic of Liberia. And with days leading up to the SONA, how significant is this particular display of the license plate and the taking over of the parking space as well? Just a minute, please.
Yeah, the significance of this license plate show.
This is the pause on the Spoon Network. My name is Diamond Slanger. We're just in conversation with Haji Masale, and as I said, we'll be speaking to CDC Chairman Chairman Janga Kou as well concerning recent developments and a statement made by him that arrest one, arrest all. Let's see if we can place a call to Chairman Janga Kou Thank you guys for the update. I think the sound has been restored. Please comment and let us know if you're getting the audio very, very clear. Let's see if we can contact Chairman Janga Kowo to bring us some to have a conversation with him, I should say, with Chairman Janga Kowo. He had agreed to honor our invitation. All right. So we'll see. Okay, we're not getting the chairman as of now. All right. But this is from the embattled speaker, J. Fonati Kofa. This is a post from embattled speaker, J. Fonati Kofa, in relation to his invite from the Liberia National Police, with him being named as a person of interest as well. So I want to zoom that and read it for you. So it says, and I'm reading from the embattled speaker's official page. It says, I understand that a communication to the House of Representatives, majority black, the Liberia. Okay, so let me read that again. I understand that by a communication to the House of Representatives, majority black, the Liberia National Police has invited me and others to assist in the investigation of the fire incident. Since the unfortunate occurrence of this event, I have consistently cooperated and ensured the cooperation of all persons under my employ. I must reiterate that I am and remain absolutely innocent of any involvement in this event. I again encourage the authorities to seek international partners' assistance to ensure a fair and impartial investigation. So the embattled House Speaker has said that he's been cooperating, but whether this alludes to the fact that he has not got enough trust or he's got trust issues with the investigators, with local investigators, but the last paragraph of his communication states that I again encourage the authorities to seek international partners' assistance to ensure a fair and impartial investigation. So, according to embattled Speaker Jonathan Fanati Kofa, the authorities here in Liberia to ensure impartial, which the embattled speaker has not come out clearly to state whether or not he trusts or not, but this statement can be interpreted as you want. But he has said he's calling on authorities to invite international experts for their assistance to make sure that the investigation is impartial and just. If you're just joining us, this is the Pulse on the Spoon Network. My name is Diamond Slanger. We have a jammed packed show. We'll be speaking to the chairman of the ruling Unity Party, and once we can get the chairman of the opposition CDC, Chairman Jangako, we'll definitely bring him on the show to speak to comments made at a press conference where he said clearly, arrest one, arrest all. And 799 star 80 hash. For those of you watching us online, we apologize for the break in transmission. That was due to some technical glitches here that has been settled. So on yesterday, the Unity Party commemorated 1 year of its anniversary of returning to power. Since the inauguration of President Joseph Human Boakai on the 22nd of January 2024. At that particular program, the chairman of the Unity Party, Reverend Luther Tappe, made a statement. For some political analysts, they termed that as a pressurizing statement to His Excellency President Joseph Human Boakai. That, look, President Boakai, there are partisans and stalwarts of the Unity Party who struggled, who campaigned, who were all in the water, passing around. And now, having ascended to power, they can see themselves in the picture. They can see themselves in the photo. So Chairman Tappe on yesterday said the president called on the president to give top government jobs to Unity partisans who struggled to bring him to the presidency. Now, that was like deja vu, you know. Didn't we hear a similar statement from then chairman of the CDC, Chairman Moba Molu? And that particular statement was criticized by Unity partisans who were in opposition at the time and other Liberians as it was on Liberian, if I can borrow the word. It was on Liberian. That it was divisive. That those who were qualified Liberians and wearing party jackets were being marginalized, and the statement was condemned when it came from Chairman Molu at the time. But we've got, and we're trying to get on the line, the Unity Party chairman, Chairman Luther Tappe, you know, to give clarity and to answer questions surrounding that statement. You know, what has been or what was the intent of his statement, and if that can be, you know, compared to that what was made at the time. Good afternoon to you, Chairman Luther Tappe. Thank you for affording us the opportunity to speak to you.
Well, good afternoon, Daman, and good afternoon to the people of Liberia. Thank you for having me on your platform.
Okay, it's a pleasure as well. On yesterday, you commemorated the rescue regime 1 year anniversary. Why was it important to commemorate such an occasion?
Well, when the people of the nation give the Unity Party the opportunity to steer the affairs of the nation, we feel as a political party that on the occasion of our first anniversary was to do a reflective journey of our first year administration and give the Liberian people a report of how far President Boakai and his able lieutenants have been able to steer the affairs of the nation. And as you heard yesterday, Diamond, that we did not only flag the achievements of President Boakai in the first 1 year of his administration under the Unity Party, but we're also able to speak on the great issue as well, the areas that we need to strengthen, even in the second year. So it was a comprehensive reflection, and the way that we feel was the best way to, especially as we enter today in our second year, so that the Unity Party leadership around that providing leadership for the country. We understand that the party, the leadership of the party, is very much with them on this journey. And Unity Party, as a very mature party, we always believe that our leaders are accountable to the party. The party is the foundation that brought this government to power. And so they are answerable to the Unity Party.
And so it was very expedient yesterday to reflect on our 1 year anniversary.
A particular portion of the reflection, you mentioned gray areas, areas that are not clear, they don't identify as white or as black, and the gray. Talking about unity partisans should be appointed in top level positions. Chairman Tape, can you elaborate on that? And is that a statement that is overlooking other Liberians who are not partisans of the UP that are currently working in the government? Are you calling for them to be ousted?
What if my statement of appealing to our Unity Party government officials to look down and consider offering low-level jobs to partisans who are in the trenches? If it's being misconstrued, then it's important that I provide clarity. The Unity Party will never, ever thread the path of CDC who thinks that Liberia belongs to them. We would never do that. We are very mature, educated, and understand the civic responsibility of our government.
Are you saying the CDC is less educated, sir?
Well, I'm only flagging what we have. Anyone can fill in the blank on the other side. But I'm telling you, as a chairman of the party, I will never, ever advocate for Unity Party government to only employ Unity partisans. In fact, President Boakai, in his leadership style, believed that those who collaborated with us must have part of the national ticket. They are not Unity partisans. They occupy very fabulous positions in our government, and they are not Unity partisans. My statement was basically to our Unity Party people who are holding big positions in the government to look down to the ordinary people who are in the community, who printed their own T-shirts. We did not win this election based on money. It was a commitment of the ordinary citizens who were fed up with CDC and wanted Unity Party to govern the country. And it was a clearing call that there's some of them who felt, oh, you know what, the position I got is not Unity Party that gave it to me. And they rubbed it right in the faces of these young people who suffer so much to bring this government. And that was a warning to them. It was not my statement should not be interpreted saying Chairman Tapper wants only Unity partisans to have jobs. By the way, many of the entities that we took over there are hundreds of seditions there. And guess what? We still allow them there.
Chairman Tapper, allow me to interrupt you respectfully. Allow me to interrupt you respectfully, Chairman. These positions you're talking about, these quote-unquote low-level positions, they're occupied by Liberians. Are you saying that those already in those positions should be removed to allow Unity partisans to occupy those positions since they were in the trenches? Or what are you saying concerning filling up those positions, sir?
No, absolutely not. My statement was, look, around your office, if you have 2-3 positions of low-level jobs that are not appointed by the President of the Republic, and perhaps you need someone who's going to sweep your office, and you already have one, can you look up to the party and say, hey, Chairman Tapper, is that a young man over there with this quality, blah, 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 the 1, 2, 3, 4 quality? Can that young man who was in the trenches in Newtown, in West Point, in Claratown, can you come to my office instead of you looking on maybe getting a friend or getting a family member? Why not you turn to the party? It was in that context I made that statement. It was not in any way an indication that the party wanted those who are not Unity partisans to vacate it. No, we will never do it. We are very mature. We understand our civic responsibility as a government to provide leadership for all Liberians.
Chairman Tapia, you mentioned gray areas, and we'll be going around this particular statement, but let's go to something else. We have the information minister here as well. We'll be in conversation with him in about 10 minutes. But my next question to you is, do you think those appointed officials have neglected their foot soldiers? That's why you are making this call.
But to not, I would not make that as a general. I would not make that general. I'm not going to make that general sweeping statement to say all, but the answer is no.
But there been neglect?
There are some of our people like the LPRC, MD, Tue have taken a lot of partisans, and in these low-level places where they are putting food on the table, MD Moali. But the ministries, because of the CSA regulations, we've not been able to get most of our partisans. And there are some other areas who felt, you know what, I became this, I became director, and I became that, not because of Unity Party, but because of my relationship with the president. And we say, look, get it straight, all right? If these young people have not worked and they are qualified, please consider them. It was in that context that statement was made. And of course, Diamond, when you have a house and you want to be very generous, it's good to be generous to everybody. But guess what? You don't want to also deprive your own children from the rightful privilege that they ought to enjoy. We are a political institution.
We understand, Chairman Tape, that political rewards are not in heaven, they're on earth.
They are right
but
here.
my next question to you is, should you be advocating for paddling of payrolls and employing 2 sweepers, 3 sweepers, a same thing that was campaigned against, that you had people, multiple people in one position? Or should the statement be more about how can the government create a more enabling environment for private sector investment to improve and ordinary Liberians getting better jobs rather than low-level jobs?
Well, when you listen to my statement yesterday, there are 2 main areas that I agree that I was able to underscore in my press conference. The first area is the issue of employment, to provide employment opportunities for all Liberians. That was why we were elected. Liberians around the world, in the country itself, expect the Unity Party will create a conducive environment where citizens everywhere will have opportunity to take care of their family. That was very clear.
All right, Chairman Tape, just one more.
I was very clear about it.
Just one more because we have to go. On a scale of 100, what's the first year performance rating of your government?
Given what we have inherited from the previous CDC government, I'm going to grade our government at 87%.
87.
87.
All right, sir.
So we need to go and see what we can do with the next 13% to make it 100% deliverable to the people of Liberia.
Thank you, Chairman Luther Tape of the ruling Unity Party. They're trying to provide clarity concerning his statement yesterday. Let's now connect with another chairman, but this is not the chairman of the ruling Unity Party, rather the chairman of the opposition Congress for Democratic Change, the CDC chairman Janga Kowo. We missed his call and we're returning his call. So Chairman Kowo, thank you for returning our call, but we're trying to get back and connect with you. We have in studio already the Minister of Information, Culture Affairs and Tourism, the Honorable Jerolimic Matthew Pia. But before that, let's join Chairman Janga Kowo of the CDC. Good afternoon to you, Chairman Kowo.
Good afternoon, Diamond.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. We just got off the line with one chairman, and it's now time to speak to you. Chairman Kowo, given the most recent development of 7 lawmakers being named by the Liberia National Police as persons of interest in the capital arson investigation, you as a legal person, where's your stand on this? Not just as Chairman Kowo, but as an individual as well.
So we think this is a continuation of the mockery. This is a continuation of the violation of the Liberian Constitution. This is a continuation of the misrule of the Unity Party government. Because I think they are making mockery of the Liberian people. Because we saw the letter that was written to the illegal Speaker of the House of Representatives, designating 7 lawmakers as persons of interest. As you know, This fire incident occurred on December 18, 2024. The police has been investigating. The police have been arresting Liberians, holding them beyond the statutory period of 48 hours, torturing them, extracting incriminating information from them, presumably. And now they are saying 7 lawmakers are persons of interest. This is total mockery, because if the government has got evidence against these people, you indict them, take them to court. But there's just a continuation of the political intimidation that is going to gradually carry out the political temperature in the country. And the government eventually will regret its action, because there's a political clampdown on the opposition is a clear violation of the Liberian Constitution and the tenets of democracy. Because you are trying to intimidate people because they disagree with the government. That's what this thing is all about. Because we always hear the police have long since taken over security at the Capitol building. The police should be answering. The police should be answering as to what led to the fire at the Capitol building. While they are scapegoating, they are trying to politically intimidate their opponents.
Chameko, let me just come in quickly.
Totally against the tenets of democracy.
Now, you as a lawyer, and you can legally define who a person of interest is better than I can. But they've not been elevated to the status of a suspect. Persons of interest either have information that the police might need, or their names have been mentioned. They need to corroborate whatever it is. They've not yet been elevated to suspects. So why are you now calling for an indictment when they've not reached that level yet, and they're calling them to provide information?
Like I said, this is pure political action. This is a continuation of the tyranny of the government. Lawmakers agree with the government. The government is trying to illegally remove a speaker. And then the lawmakers have disagreed with the government, are being incriminated by the government, being intimidated by the police. That's not a democracy we fought for. And we can tell the Unity Party government that your strategy will backfire, because you will be challenged. You will be challenged. You will be resisted.
Resisted how?
You will be resisted.
How will you resist?
Come again?
What type of resistance are you talking about?
Because the violation of the laws of the country will not continue unabated. The government will be challenged, because these people have got rights. These people are elected representatives of the people. 7 lawmakers are elected representatives of the people from all around the country. And they have the right to disagree with their people. And the Constitution clearly forbids you trying to intimidate or harass lawmakers. And we all are witnesses to the developments surrounding the illegal removal of the speaker.
Arrest one, arrest all.
These bogus charges are a continuation of the government political wage hunt.
Chameko, your recent statement, arrest one, arrest all. Now we've seen an elevation. Now officially there's been communication, persons of interest, and of these persons of interest, you have CDC lawmakers. Do you still stand by that statement? And if so, what do you mean by arrest one, arrest all?
So we stand by our statement, because we think the attempts of the government to intimidate CDC lawmakers and other members of the opposition is a clear violation of the democracy that we have enjoyed. It's a clear violation of the Liberian Constitution. Arresting Liberian citizens, keeping these citizens without charges for beyond the 48-hour statutory period. These are all clear violations of the Liberian Constitution, and the government will be held accountable. And maybe people are forgetting the history of the country. These are things that led to the civil crisis in this country. Any government that it can arrogate to itself powers that has not been given it by the Constitution, that government will be resisted. And the people do have the right to resist any government that does such. Under Article 1 of the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia.
Chairman, will the CDC be providing legal support to those lawmakers who are from the party, or even if they're not from the party, as an opposition party? Would you be providing and turning them, accompanying these lawmakers to assist this police investigation or not?
So as we speak, we are consulting, because nobody has got an obligation to answer any police question. And you are aware You have the right to remain silent. And you who are in, these lawmakers are in conflict with the government. They have the right to remain silent. So what investigation are you talking about? These people have the right to remain silent. You cannot compare them to make any statement against themselves. So we are consulting with them. We are consulting with them because they have the right to remain silent. And the government has got evidence. The government is on an obligation to use the evidence in court. So these are all tactics that are intended to intimidate these people. Because all of these seven persons have got the right under the Liberian Constitution to remain silent. The police cannot compel them to say anything. So the police is on an obligation to abuse the evidence. So we think that's why we say this is a continuation of the political wage hunt. This is a continuation of political clampdown. This is the continuation of the looming threat to Liberian democracy by the Joseph Boakai Unity Party government. Because persons of interest, this thing has lingered on for 1 month. No lawmaker that has been cited as persons of interest has got any obligation to say a word to the police. Okay. Because they have got the right to remain silent. Because anything they say can be used against them in the court of law. So the police got evidence.
With the consultation, with the consultation ongoing, would that be an advice from the CDC legal counsel that look, instead of us accompanying you with your lawyers to go and make statements to assist the investigation so that we can contribute to the rule of law in our country, would you be advising them to not turn themselves over, to not visit the police?
Again, Diamond.
Yes, sir.
Diamond. So, like I told you, writing a letter to the illegal majority bloc, citing several lawmakers as persons of interest, is politically motivated. Because you are aware, and I am aware, under the Liberian Constitution, you cannot compare any citizen, not even lawmakers, we're not talking about lawmakers, you cannot compare any citizen to say anything to you. And because of the political sensitivity of this matter, the government should gather its evidence and prosecute these people to go charge them, indict them.
So you are saying if you were to advise, you are saying if you were to compare them, are you saying if you were to advise them, your legal advice would be stay away, do not go make any statement. If they have the evidence, if they have the prima facie, let them indict you.
So I'm telling you, that's what a sensible government will do. But because the government is inept, the government has got no capacity to govern the country. So the government is continuing 1 year of failure. It's continuing to make the country the way it is. And the government is probably looking for scapegoats. And we have said time and again, this is our country. We are patriots. We are not interested in the disruption of the peace. We are totally not interested in that because we led the country for 6 years. We transitioned the country democratically and peacefully to the Unity Party. The Unity Party has got the constitutional obligation to live by the dictates of the laws of the country. But you see, the Unity Party has systematically violated all the provisions of the Constitution. Arbitrary actions against citizens. The police have become trigger happy, killing and shooting citizens around the country. You saw the invasion of the CDC headquarters. So the government is proceeding like a junta, and this is not a military junta. Liberia is a democracy, and we will stand up to protect this nonsense Liberian democracy.
Chairman Cole, you made a statement calling on CDC legislative members to boycott the upcoming State of the Nation address by President Joseph Boakai. Is that cast in stone? And if so, why are you calling for the boycott? And if your lawmakers attend, what is the action or actions that will be taken against those who attend?
So what I can tell you is, you see the DAS function. There's a constitutional impasse. The government is trying to intimidate the speaker into resigning. The government has got somebody masquerading as a speaker. So all of these things point to a serious dysfunction of the country. And so that's why we are advising our lawmakers not to attend the SONA because the government clearly is demonstrating its inability to govern the country, as evidence. But a lot of the mistakes and the errors and the transgressions, the violations are just too much. So that will be a clear statement to the government and to the international community. indeed the government need to take a step backward and get back on the path of governance. You won an election, you have got the obligation to govern the country, but you do not have the right to continue to balkanize the constitution, violate the rights of citizens, arbitrary dismissals, disregarding court decision. These things are totally unacceptable and totally reprehensible.
Okay, Chairman, any other thing you want to say? But my last question to you is, when you look at the 1 year of the Joseph Boakai administration with the SONA on tomorrow, are there any positives you can take from 1 year of the Unity Party government? And if so, what are 1 or 2 challenges you can point out?
But clearly, the government apparently was not ready to govern. I think maybe they may have come to power by accident, but they need to just take a step back, look at their own 2 year of governance, look at the CDC 6 year of governance, and try to proceed. But see, all of the errors the government has made, all of the promises that the government has made, the government has failed. The government started with violating the rights of citizens, dismissing civil servants across government, dismissing diplomats, like diplomats that were deployed by the previous government, lying with IAO policies from Ghana. All of the promises, all of the pronouncements of the government have come out to be false. And so you can clearly see that the government is inept. The government has got no plan to govern the country. And the government is collapsing under the weight of its own incapacity and ineptitude.
Chairman Janga Kowo of the CDC, thank you so much for honoring our invitation.
Thank you.
So, folks, there you heard it from the chairman of the CDC. We'll take a short break. We have Liberia's information minister. He's been listening keenly. We'll be discussing everything, the 1 year of the Boakai administration, what is expected of the next year, this ensuing year, and everything else in between. But as we go for this break, remember to keep playing the radio game. The code is *79980#. The more you play, the better your chances of winning. And you could win 10,000 Liberian dollars just like that. You need to go be answering question 21, 21. All you need to do is just to dial *799 *80#, play with 200 Liberian dollars, or better still, $1.50 if you want to use your USD wallet, and win 10,000 just like that. You also will be qualified to be drawn at the end of the month to win a 3-bedroom house, brand new. Not how somebody live in. No, you'll be the first owner, so you need to play. We'll go for this break to be right back. And once we're back, Liberia's information minister, Honorable Jerolimic Matthew Pia, is our guest here on the program. You've listened to the Unity Party chairman try to provide clarity around his statement. You listen to the CDC chairman as well. I'm speaking to his statement as well and reaffirming his party's position in all of what is happening in the country. But the information minister is up next after this break. Do stay with us. Check here in Liberia. It's 5 minutes after 4 p.m. This is the Pulse on the Spoon Network. You hear it here from the sources concerned. We do not bring you say, I say, they say. We strive our best. possible to bring on those concerned to provide to you the information first hand. I have in studio here with me the Information Minister of the Republic of Liberia, Honorable Lawmaker Pia. Good afternoon to you, sir, and thank you for honoring our invitation.
I'm not sure.
You are. I can see you.
Oh, okay. Well, good afternoon, Damo. Thank you for the invite, and it's good to be here.
Okay. Minister Pia, it's a pleasure having this conversation with you. But we want to go into everything governance, everything of the government of Liberia, and what are plans and everything. So this is going to be a 360 interview. But first off, how is the Ministry of Information? The last time you appeared on this radio station on Spoon Talk, you outlined some challenges, but some, gains you've made, including the building being re-roofed and other things. How is the Ministry of Information 1 year of you being at the helm of that institution?
The ministry is good. And I thought you could be a good messenger as to how the ministry is faring, because you stopped by the other day and you could see with your own eyes what the ministry is. So that's good. You know the rest of the story. You guys were here. A dilapidated building, unsanitized, and bad looking offices. The compound itself not reflective of anything that is supposed to be a place considered a government institution. Operational issues were terribly bad. Of course, you talk about the overall state of the building, leaking roofs, all of the things you can think about that should not be a representation of any public office. So we made out of that. We faced those situations heads on, and we've made tremendous, and I mean tremendous progress. As you saw when you went there yourself, maybe the rest of the story. I mean, because if I talk, but I mean there, the ministry where you say nothing happening there, everything. But at least an independent eyes like yours and voice like yours can be a testimony of what you were able to see there and make a conclusion or some kind of determination as to whether we still where we were when we took over in March of 2024.
Okay. All right. So what are the most significant achievements of this government as a whole? Just yesterday, the government commemorated 1 year of being at the helm of authority in this country. What are the most significant achievements, Minister Pia? You can point out and say, look, 1 year on, these are what we've had, and we can build on them to move forward.
So it appears that we take the entire show answering a single question. I know in between there will be breaks and you will come down with follow-up questions and all of that, but when you ask that kind of loaded question, you want a narration.
But I know you as a good communication expert, you will summarize and point out the most important, significant, or the most significant
So you
ones.
see, that is the problem. When you talk about governance and you want to tell the story about your governance initiative, you cannot begin to devalue some of the things that are required. Say, okay, these are the most significant. They are the ones I can talk about. These ones, okay, we're doing things. But you're right. Let's give a summary. First of all, when you take over a country, you have to assess everything, and I mean just everything. So by the time we took over the country on January 22nd, when President Waka was inaugurated, we have to look around and say, where are we? What have we inherited? Even though there were some baselines, because that is the essence of the transition process itself. When you win elections and you constitute a transition team and you're working with the outgoing administration on transitional issues, you're supposed to be documenting everything that there are that you're going to inherit. So basically there was some baseline, just to be clear. But then when you sit down and it's governance done, then you got to look to say, okay, we saw these initial things, and we're in charge now. We have access to everything. So where are we? Where are we? Number one, we realized our international relations was bad.
Mhm.
And I can give you reasons why one could say efficiently that it was bad.
What are those reasons that informs
One of the critical developmental partners of our country, even when President Salif was in charge, whose hand marks you can see all over the country, are the Chinese. Of course, our principal traditional ally are the Americans, and they've always come to our aid. They granted us, under the Salif administration in 2015, Compact One that gave us 257 million, which we used to do some of our critical works, including roads and our energy sector, helping to build the hydro. Of course, during that time, you will know that a sitting president of America came here to Liberia in President George W. Bush. And then another president in Barack Obama invited our president, a United Party president, Salif, to the White House in the Oval Office, our own delegation. So these are indications of very excellent relationship between we and these individuals. And I can assure you that if we were still in power at the time, in the way we know how to handle our international friendship, we would have gotten Compact 2 ever since. It didn't happen. The Chinese were here. They promised to do a number of things negotiated by the United Party administration. And that include an interchange, which many are referring to as overhead. Yes, that's supposed to come all the way from the ministerial complex to Bolivar Junction. That did not happen because we mismanaged our international relations with the Chinese. They should have built a new broadcast complex at LBS. Everything negotiated, concluded. They couldn't do it because we mismanaged our international relations with them. They should have built a reference laboratory there at the military hospital. That opportunity was squandered because we did not manage our international affairs well with them. We had issues all over the place. So much so that the greatest country on earth was so unpleased with some of the things that were happening here, and there was a litany of sanctions being meted out against public officials in very hard places, including somebody who was sitting and managing the office of the president. So it tells you that the international relations was bad. They didn't want to see our passport. In fact, the first sanction that was brought forth was on the issue of passports. When Andrew Wamplo was sanctioned, it was because of our passport situation. So these were all a very nasty situation in our international affairs that we inherited. We needed to pay attention to them and fix it. And that's the reason why if you went to ELBC compound now, the broadcast complex has hit the sky. That work started because we rebuilt it. That's why when you see the clearing works that are being done, so that by next month the construction of the overhead bridge will start. That's the reason why we were able to just last month break grounds for the reference laboratory, which as announced by the Chinese, also start next month. So we were just able to fix our international problem, and it culminated into even bigger things. Because just on a 1 year, based on that enhanced relationship, we got Compact 2. I know that there's always fear on the part of other people that, look, if I'm a political actor and I'm not in power, nothing good should happen because they will undermine, my chances of being politically relevant and taking on these people who are currently in power. So you see that rather than celebrating the fact that we got Compact 2, there are other people who were even trying to cast doubt over the whole process and say, oh, you're not even going to get it. Right? I'm still rolling. You have a loaded question.
I beg just an interjection because this issue of the compact, you're saying we've got Compact 2, but have we gotten Compact 2, or we are just eligible to get Compact 2? Because that is an issue for debate. We just had the MCC in the country having a conversation with the Minister of.
They didn't just come here to have a conversation. Okay. When you will not have Compact 2, you're not going to have the MCC establish a local office in the country.
So it's definite that we get Compact 2.
It is definite. They came here, the technical team that came here, first establishing a local office, 2, developing the framework for staff recruitment in terms of people who are going to manage. You're going to recruit people, you establish an office, you're paying them for something you wouldn't have.
Isn't that all part of the processes that lead to you being awarded a compact that they will look at the sectors that might need the money. You identify all of those things before at the end of the day.
So it's just because you qualify for compact, because the prospect that you have compact is so entrenched. That's why you launch your processes. If that entrenched nature is not there, you're not going to launch your process. First of all, when you recruit people right now and you set up the office, you start to pay them. If you don't have compact, where you take money from paying them? You know who paying them? Not Liberia. The MCC is paying them. You're paying somebody for something that's not going to happen. So you see, let us not be apprehensive and make ourselves doubting Thomases. We always, whether people like it or not, down, we're going to see additional American investment, at least this time around, a second impact, out close to or more than $500 million, which is $500 million. Okay. So there's no question about that. It's an indication that we solve the international relation problem we have. I've traveled widely. The question has been on diplomatic passport. Doubts and suspicions will be clouding our diplomatic passport status. I've traveled with it. Many persons travel with it. Many of the doubts that existed after the different interventions we made. Remember, as a government, we took the post there to say passports were issued to people, some of them beyond the legal period that is required. Diplomatic passports are normally meant to be issued to people for 2 years. People had diplomatic passport for up to 5 years. We had to record as a government all of those passports. And thanks to some of the individuals who had them, they cooperated. The king, of course, initially you always hear from them, everything I have resistance. Some said they would have resisted. But up to what extent will you resist something when the government has announced something at the international people? The Americans were the first to commend the effort. And you say you will resist, you will keep the passport. Then you use it and go to an airport to travel, particularly to some of these countries. Then you see where your resistance stands. So I just wanted to say that we inherited this problem and we fixed it. Okay. Then, when you inherit a country is peaceful. There's security, there's everything. You have an obligation to ensure that is maintained. You don't want to inherit a peaceful country and all of a sudden everything collapses on you. So as a government, I believe we've been able to keep the peace and maintain our own security. Then we realize that, look, there's a problem with our civil service. People were dumped into the civil service. We did a review. The civil service is built in a way, Adamo, that it has grades and classification. So each grade and classification has the requirement for what a person who occupies position S, Y, Z should have. Is that how you? Still on? Yeah, you're still on. Okay. Is either you supposed to be, say, a bachelor degree holder to occupy job X, or a master degree holder and occupy job B? For example, I give you a particular example. I inherited a ministry and it's payroll. I would look on that payroll and see somebody with a high school qualification being paid $500 to $600. You look on the same payroll, you see a person who has a master's degree is being paid $250 to $300. So that whole civil service management system was a mess. It was a fiasco. What did we have to do? We have to restore what the standards were. So thanks to Josiah Joker on behalf of the government, who pay attention and started seeing how we should fix it. Because first of all, most of the kinds of ways we were paying people were so wrong, because when people were dumped into the civil service, okay, so Minister, you're back. Oh, I'm back. Okay, yeah, and you couldn't put them down. That's when the famous word that you guys always run around, your harmonization came. That simply meant look at the people, different salary grade, take it to the downward trend, and then you are able to pay all the additional people that you added, because that's the only way you could do it. You couldn't raise the additional resources if you kept the people's salary at that same level. We had to fix that. But in addition to that, we met a civil service that were indebted, that the government was indebted to in a term of about 4 months. So rather than us thinking about how we start paying people for the time we took over, we have to go back and be thinking about how we settle 4 months salary arrears before we started even regularizing our own salary something. We were able to do that. We settled the 4 months. Then we came to regularizing the salary, somewhere so up to the point where we are now, that we're constant with the payment of salary. We settled those ones. Then we realized that, okay, then we have to pay attention to the infrastructures of the country. Of course, there were celebrations here. For example, if Damo put light up in this place and we see some light, because Damo puts the light on here, Damo is also being now called darkness medicine, because he's able to put some light on, and now the place is shining, so he's the medicine for darkness. So Damo paved one road leading to his community. Damo is now the medicine for Barrow. In a country where you have the medicine for everything, you expect that these places that we have medicine for are supposed to be okay. You are attested that basically, for example, in Monrovia, that was celebrated to say a lot of the construction work took place here, rather than us now focusing on new initiatives in that sector to begin to build new roads all over the place. What are we doing? We're rebuilding almost all the roads in this place. Almost all. They all got dilapidated. So instead of focusing on new ones, we got to now pay attention to making all of them all over again.
Are you talking about the 100 days deliverables and the current reconstruction or rehabilitation works that we see?
Yeah, you asked questions about the 1 year, so it's a combination of all. The interventions you made during the 100-day deliverable, the interventions being made as you continue the governance process for the entire one year you're talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
So if I can just put them at the bullet points. So the first point was restoring our international image. The second, or diplomatic relations, right? The second is sanitizing the civil service.
So you first make sure you kept the peace and ensure the existence of security.
So the international relations, the peace and security, and the civil service, and roadworks.
Infrastructure development generally. Because if you were to look at, for example, where I said, as you asked that initial question, is that road work? But it's part of improving the infrastructure of the country, because infrastructure could include roads, public buildings, etc., etc.
Okay, so to infrastructure.
So when I talk about the overhead bridge that is about to be built, when I talk about the construction that's going on at LBS now, when I talk about the reference laboratory being to be constructed, all processes set at the 14 military road, they're all part of the infrastructure development process.
Okay, so let's talk utilities.
All of that, but they are all part of the infrastructure.
There was a campaign about how LEC want to talk about the provision of basic amenities, water, electricity, and the rest. Have you made significant?
They are basic social services, but extensively they are also infrastructural issues.
So have you made gains in those sectors as well? I do know that the MD of the Water and Sewer Corporation, Moali, talked about pipes and extended connections and all of these things, but there is still a lot of criticism leveled at how we get our energy distributed, the power surge and power outage and all of these things. Have there been improvements in the electricity sector?
Oh, there are, because you see, electricity is not just what you get from maybe a hydro or with HFO generators. It goes beyond that, and that's where you can establish that you made some progress. Predominantly, Monrovia was always dark after we took over in our 1 year. Have you driven around lately anywhere around the town?
Are you talking about the solar lights?
It's part of the energy process, and that's the reason why I was clear to say it's not just about hydro or using HFO machine. In fact, all over the world, including the West, the people are not paying more attention to green energy or solar energy, as we call it. So we've been making a lot of investment in that. That's why you move around Monrovia. Doesn't matter whether some HFO generator is on at LEC substation on Bujo Island. It doesn't matter whether the hydro capacity has gone down because the water level is low. You have the streets clear, bright, because we've invested in solar. Don't forget, we're doing it even far beyond what you see the street light can afford. We broke ground for, and the work is ongoing for the 20 megawatt solar plant there in Harrisburg, around not far from where you have the hydro. It's an indication of our desire to invest in solar energy, because that one will not cost you the things you have to do, which are capital intensive to have electricity. But guess what? I made a few travels recently. One of them was in Basel, where I am almost every weekend. You know, through the SG project, we've been building substations in strategic places. One of those substations right on the road to Basel, almost in Bikama. Another substation is just before reaching BWI. If you are traveling that road, you see there's a substation. There's another substation on the road leading to Tottenham. All of these substations are coming online right now. On the Buchanan side, where I just came from, all of the high power lines are being run because the poles have been planted, taking the current to the city. When it gets to the city with all of that lines and all of the poles and everything, then the second part of it starts, which is that which focuses on transmission and distribution. That is how you put one line running into Spoon so that they can have electricity. How one line is run into Radio Duba, Radio Basa, somebody's resident in Basa. It's far advanced. That same process is consistently taking place in all of the areas where substations were built. The goal is to advance the energy problem. I live in Broadway, for example, so you know that we made progress. When we came to power, the energy stopped at Iron Gate. I don't know how often you go to Bushel Island in Broadway, but Iron Gate is very far away from most parts of Broadway. I live in a part of Broadway called Pacocono. We're just on the verge of having electricity there. But before now, where we're about to have it there, they've taken it from Iron Gate to VOA Junction, which is not very far from Pacocono where I live. So there's been expansion, not just with street lights, but the actual expansion of the work that I have taken current, for example, from that Iron Gate up to VOA. In other communities, especially along the Rabafi Highway, there's been expansion, taking the current further towards the Kakata Highway, taking the current further. Additional home, for example, that we had this project that was signed with the European Union that was providing about 40 million, and it was expected that additional 40,000 households were going to be connected to the national energy grid.
Minister Pierre, allow me to just come in a bit. You've mentioned expansion, and more households to get connected to the national grid. But what about the issue of this perennial problem that we have? I know I was at that groundbreaking for the solar farm. It's expected to help in during the dry season and all of that. But many Liberians are concerned. Yes, we see the solar lights on the streets, but in our homes, especially with the load shedding during dry season, apart from the solar farm, what other alternative solutions are there long term? Not temporary, but long-term in the pipeline to make sure we have stable electricity, which drives infrastructure and economic activities as well.
You're correct. We've been informed by the authorities in the energy sector, where the mines and energy minister is also a very active player, that they've concluded feasibility study and they realized that to expand effectively our energy program, we cannot depend on the Mount Coffee Hydro. So the feasibility studies have shown that they need to build additional hydro at strategic places on the edge of the St. Paul towards Bon and Lofa County is one area they've identified. People are also discussing building one of them on the edge of the St. John River towards the Basel and where I come from. Because the goal is if you have multiple hydros, then the way you can expand and distribute energy can be much easier. Because look, we just got to face it. When you build hydro, the energy from the hydro comes as a result of the water level. When I came to the Ministry of Information, we had generator, nothing. We hardly used to be able to sit in our place. Because I was doing the dry.
The whole Ministry of Information, they didn't have generator.
Absolutely nothing. No generator. The only source of current was the LEC current. Once the LEC current went, we were zero. We managed to bring in, and thanks to Money Captain, I was always calling the man when press conference time count down when the current is off. I had a direct number. To the saying, we got to sit down and face a schedule. We face a schedule. We got our press conference every Tuesday and Thursday. But there were times we were also having emergency press conferences. So he looked at that and said, but this is a problem. I say it's a problem, and you manage the energy sector. We got to solve it together. He said, okay, I hear you. Eventually, working with him, we got a brand new 45 kVA generator, which is insufficient. Basically insufficient because when we use the ministry there had 3 floors, the down, the middle, and the up. That 45 kVA generator, because of all the load we got and all the kind of thing, can only give us current on the middle floor. So when an LEC is out, down there, where most of my deputy ministers are seated, no current. We have to carry them upstairs somewhere in the different conference room. They sit down there, they have access to electricity and up there. So we also thinking about making sure we get a generator that's bigger than the 45 kVA. But yeah, to answer your question, nothing was there. So these are all ways, and that's the reason why we should be happy about compound diamond. And people should not be vexed that it will be a political benefit from people. Because no matter what else you think about, when we take the decision as to where the compound money will be invested, infrastructure and energy will be the first two. Because the partners themselves, they look at the bonding constraints that the country is faced with. Because that their money, they're giving it to you as a grant, you don't have to pay back. But because they're giving it to you as a grant, that's why they help you for it to be properly expanded. That's why they don't get through to you. Say, oh, your government has the money, go take care of it. That's why they help you. They establish an office. They recruit the national coordinator. They recruit other staff in there. They develop the implementation plan. They develop which sector they want to cover, and the money is used there. I am sure, very sure, based on my experience, that those two sectors, energy and infrastructure, would be key in the expansion and expenditure of that money. Then along the way, maybe they will look at whether we got challenges, maybe in the health sector.
Talking about the health sector, Mr. Pierre, that's my next question leading on.
Yeah.
We're talking everything because these are the bread and butter issues before we get to the actual politics of the day leading to the end of this program. What improvements have been made in the health sector as well, aside the laboratory ground that was broken for the construction of the laboratory there at the 14 Military Hospital? Do you care to bring us up to speed with some of the achievements and gains made in the health sector of our country?
We can try. I think I had some radar here from the Ministry of Health, but I think one of the things we got to do well is, and I like the way you jump on me, say, Mr. Pierre, you got to come.
Oh, yeah.
You got to start jumping on these people in the other sector so they can come talk about what they're doing.
Because available, we engage them to make themselves available.
Trust me, I'm very convinced that many of them are doing great jobs that they're not talking about. And that's a problem. When you do job, no matter how well the job you're doing is, once you don't talk about it, nobody's going to talk about it for you. Nobody's going to talk about what you do if you yourself don't see the need to talk about it. So let me see.
Yeah, so why are you trying to get that? I mean,
I think I've got.
All right.
You see? All right. So then we get to something else. What I'm looking for.
Yeah, so Minister Pierre is looking for.
Yeah.
It reminds me of. I hope it's not a repeat of that, but I remember I was on the scene in Cape Mount County. Former senator of Great Cape Mount County, Vanish Sherman, said he was looking for a text message.
Yeah, text message box.
Kept looking for.
But before I even found that, let me speak generally to some of the issues. You see, in my mind, and as a spokesperson of the government, I don't think you will not begin to measure successes in the health sector by focusing on, okay, we want to build more new hospitals all over the place, because it will make no sense when the ones you have are better functioning, but you're adding new ones onto it that you will not be able to support.
That is why I asked the question.
All right, so
improvements in the health sector, what are new or existing that are being.
All right, so for me, from the general standpoint, first and foremost, we got to look at the extent to which the existing facilities are being run.
Like JFK, for example.
Yeah, for JFK, like the other referral hospitals in the counties. And I know they're doing a lot of great work, but as a spokesperson of the government, I would say there's still a lot to be done. Because so the health minister has said to me consistently that in many of the cases, rather than just throwing people out, they go there, you consult them, and everything you're sending them to one drugstore to buy. She said they have had improvement in managing medical supplies in the hospital, particularly drugs, and that drugs were now available. If that is happening, it's a good progress. I mean, but that's what she gave account of. Some of the basic equipment that you need in the hospitals, she said they brought in new equipment in many of the hospitals, they're functioning, that's fine. I know one of the problems that still exists, because we're just confronting some kind of issue just last night, is remuneration of people who are working in the hospital. Last month, or month before last, I was part of a process when the health workers were concerned about their pay level. And as a government and as a spokesman, I will concede to say, it's something we must pay attention to, because guess what? If all the professional people we train to manage the sector are not giving what they need and they are not pleased, trust me, they are wanted somewhere.
You have brain drain.
They are wanted somewhere.
People will leave.
Everybody want to live better. To be a doctor is no small thing. You go to some kind of school first, you get BSc, then you go to the medical school, you take plenty of years. Then those who want to specialize,
some of the residency,
exactly. Some of their specialization will take almost 7 years. So it's not something that we can play politics with. And it's from that angle what I think that the minister have been on record to say they believe that they're solving most of the administrative problems in the hospital to make it more functional. I, from the general perspective, even knowing what people are paid and all of that, believe that the government is committed to doing more. And we have to do more, because health is, how do they call it? Health is
wealth.
It's wealth. So all of us who serve in government, if are not well, I'm sick right now the way you call me to come here and I'm trembling, I can't even stand, I will not be here.
So are you attacking the issue of giving qualified medical personnel the salaries that commensurate?
Because it's something we've been faced with just recently.
Okay.
There were several media. I was one of the individuals who the president asked to join the team in trying to mitigate this. And so that made me to have the opportunity to listen to some of the.
So how's that conversation going?
Yeah, they went well. That's why even as they were protesting, it didn't happen, but it didn't solve the problem as it's supposed to solve. But they were understanding because they also have an obligation to ensure that when Damo and I say we go to the hospital, there are doctors there to treat us. So it's on account of that, I think, and from the training they have as doctor where they're not supposed to let people down. So they were able to meet us midway. But let me tell you one of the things they were saying. They were talking about how do they call it? I think they say reclassification. So for example, they employed me as a medical personnel and I've been working. But in between that time of working, I had a chance to get scholarship or something and went to specialize. It's on the book. It's part of the law that when a person becomes a specialist doctor, when they come back, they're supposed to get upgrade in terms of what they get. So part of the problem they had was that most of them who have gone to do specialization and came back, they were still being paid at the levels they were prior to going for specialization. The government admits that that should not be the case. However, at the time they were raising that issue, we passed all the budgetary period. So there was something that was agreed upon that, look, there are some of you, even though you're entitled to this, but there are some of you down the line there who still have not met the average grade that all of you are supposed to be on. So for now, can we bring those people up with a sacrifice being made by you? And then we seek to address that in the next budget year.
So which next budget? Are you talking about this
next budget year? By the time we did that, we are going far with this budget.
So you're talking about 2026?
Correct. And they were reasonable in reaching that understanding. And so we now have a commitment because you see, even the things we're talking about, you get medicine in the hospital, you get all the equipment, whether that's CT scan, X-ray, everything. Who's supposed to operate it?
Those medical
people. So I've been making sure that they are in the place they're supposed to be. For me, is number one. Then making available the things they need to do their work is number two. But if you make available the things they need to do their work, and they are not there, then no work goes on. We're just being honest in the conversation.
Is that also going to affect teachers? Now, I like how we're progressing in the conversation, gradually bringing on the other points as well. Increment in civil servant salaries was one of the key points the Unity Party campaigned on. You harmonize my salary, I'll harmonize your food. That was one of the political mantras of 2023. Now, teachers, civil servants, and the rest, Minister Kafuan announced an increment. But how realistic is that increment? And is it going to take effect this budget year, Minister Pia?
For the category of people that were listed, whether it was security officer or certain number of civil servants that were determined to be below the ladder, whose names were sent out to have some pay rise, yes, it is the budget and it's something that he's honest about. But solving the salary issue completely, let me tell you why it's hinged on. You've got to be honest about these conversations.
Sure.
First of all, we have to be able to address that issue, we have to undo the very harmonization you made reference to. But you see, to undo the harmonization, it has to be backed up by your ability to do what you want to do if you undo the harmonization. So what have we been doing? We've been looking up to the LRA, and I'm glad that of late you heard Dr. Jara saying they exceeded
their revenue
target. Very well. And Dr. has said in cabinet and other places that, look, give us this. If there's anything we're talking about the hospital, give us X, Y, Z. It will enhance our capacity, we'll reach our budget to $1 billion.
What are those things he asked for? I know I'm dealing.
One of the things he asked for is don't give us budget according to the Ministry of Finance standard. He made a budget, say this is what they own. What you do, reach a revenue sharing concept with us. We raise this, we get this percent. In his view, it motivates them and put them in the place where they will do what they're supposed to do to raise the revenue at all costs, because the functioning of their own entity depends on that. Because you say when you raise, they will get this percentage. So assume you raise 700,000 and really giving you 15%, example, right? 15% of 700,000 will be smaller than 15% of 1 billion. So they will say, if we want to get more money, we got to do this thing. We're supposed to do the regional budget because 15% of 1 billion will be more money than 15% of 700 million. He believed that's the most practical way to do it. Second, one of the things we have not done well in is real estate. I show you one of us, right? You're a strong man. If you're a horse, you got to be asking yourself, am I paying taxes for this thing? So he brought it to us at cabinet. There were many different suggestions. Part of it was, you can make sure everybody pay. You see, right now, your real estate thing, that you have people who own commercial properties and all that kind of thing, but the ordinary people who build homes, including people who are gainfully employed, who got decent houses, they're not paying real estate. What could be some of the problem? We brought to the cabinet, so maybe part of the problem could be maybe the cost that you're attaching to the payment of tax, and it's a continuous process every year, is high. Let's follow the example in some other country. Make the amount that you need to pay for tax smaller. That
encourage more.
Yeah, that is enforceable. Secondly, if you're not being able to do your own work to enforce the collection of taxes, and somebody is owing taxes, maybe it's for 10 years, 20 years, that much. If you tell the man to clear that tax, you think you will pay it?
No.
So what we were proposing is that you got to reach a point of compromise where you waive it. You readjust the tax rates, and then you enforce collection. Nobody will blame you.
So let me take you back to.
So I'm coming, but I just wanted to say that when you do all of those things, coupled with empowering them, he says we can reach a $1 billion. And when we do that, it means we have the resource envelope to account for restoring people to their original pay grade, or even beyond it. But because you see, part of the reason, I want to emphasize this again, the reason why the salaries went down in the first place is you were already loaded at the maximum level, but you wanted to employ people. You employ them, then the few months that followed, you can't pay. You realize you're not raising money to pay. Then you come back and say, then we have to harmonize, which means we have to drop everybody's salary. Everybody. And one of the things that after doing that was that the tax rate, even though the people who pay, the smaller your salary or your income, the smaller the tax. But when they did that, individuals who were up there in the bracket became a big problem with them because the tax rate went as far as 24% of their salary. So assuming you're making $4,000 as your salary, and 24% that's going to be taxed. You know how much money you pay just on income tax alone? So it's a big envelope of problem that we'll solve as soon as we undo the harmonization. But that removal of the harmonization is hinged on revenue performance, which we are headed to according to the LRA.
So there are categories of civil servants that will get an increment in their salaries this year. For
this current budget, according to what was expected.
And which brackets do they fall in? If you want to look at professional, their professions or the level, either of the two can do for us.
So they're not big professional people or highly qualified, competent people. There were people who are below the ladder, and their pay were already small. So the harmonization took them to a place that went below the minimum wage. That was a breach of the law in the first place. So all that the Minister of Finance was doing said nobody's supposed to be making less than $150. But some of the people who were pushed there because of that process went as low as $70, $80, and $60.
Is it going to affect police officers?
There were police officers who fell below that minimum wage as well. They are captured in that and they've been brought. But not only that, the government now is responsible to pay insurance, medical, etc. for them, beginning with this budget here. It was just a way of making their situation a little bit better before we reach the point on doing the harmonization fully and being able to put them in a category where they can at least survive.
So harmonization is staying temporarily until you can find a permanent solution.
Yeah. In other words, the harmonization is still in place, but you're looking at people below the ladder and you're taking some remedial action to bring them up. Because the undoing of the harmonization will affect everybody, whether you're way up there, in the middle, you're down. Until we reach the point where we can do it based on the revenue envelope, we want to take the people who are below the minimum wage to come to that level of getting the minimum wage while we work towards undoing harmonization fully that will restore people to their original salary base.
Okay. So you listen to the chairman of the CDC relating to the names of some lawmakers being announced as persons of interest in the capital, arson investigation. Minister Pia, as chief spokesperson of the Cabinet of Liberia, you listen to the CDC chairman saying, they will resist. They, according to though he didn't go directly, but if he were to advise, he said that all Liberians have the right to cooperate or not, and to make statements or not. And looking at where we are as a country, is the government's case hinged on evidence, prima facie, and the rest at the moment, putting it together and calling people for questioning without reaching an indictment yet. But how do you see the statement coming from the CBC chairman? Divisive or not in cooperation with the law?
You know, Janga is a brother. I have known Janga for a long time. I was a student leader at the university. Janga was a student leader. We confronted the tyranny of Taylor. Janga was there. I was there. We left this country together as a result of reprisal from Taylor, and we went into exile together. We stayed in exile together and came back to Liberia after Mr. Taylor was chased out of this place. We worked together with Janga because Janga was the controller at the GAC under the Madam Seliv administration. And eventually he joined the CDC and became the chairman. Because of this political history I just told you, we all come from soup at the university. I have a great deal of respect for him. He has elevated himself forward to be a lawyer. But in this case, he didn't speak as a lawyer. And he didn't speak as a progressive Janga I have known all my life.
What do you mean?
So something must be wrong. First of all, a lawyer will want for people associated with him, even if he was their lawyer and they were a client, to cooperate with any legal process that is ongoing. Because Janga knows that under our jurisprudence, a man, a woman, or anybody who's accused of something is presumed innocent until proven guilty. That process of leading that person to being proven guilty is a process that requires the cooperation of the one who's been investigated. In this case, nobody has charged anybody in that category we've been talking to. I met the police director today. I sat with him. They're doing an investigation. When they reached the point where they believe that there were persons responsible for the arson attack on the Capitol, they charged them. You all know the story. One of them made a big claim that they were torture and all of that, and they've been addressing that. But they believe that based on certain variables, certain information, and certain things he's doing as a way of enhancing the cooperation, they took a number of persons, 7 of them. He forwarded the list to me, and you know that. I'm sure you have the list. Are persons of interest. Contrary to what he's saying, when I went to see the police director today, at least I saw 2 of those persons named who are called persons of interest there. You saw 2 of them at this meeting. I'm not going to call them names. They didn't announce. They went there to see the police IG. One of them in particular, who I also not called, went with a lawyer. The lawyer is my friend. So we met up.
From what you're saying, 2 have already cooperated.
Or in the process of cooperating. Because when they say you person of interest, so come and just assist her with anything, it's nothing to resist. You see? So when a lawyer say, no, they should not go there, or they may not even talk, you got a right to remain silent. Yes, it's a legal stuff that they always say. You have the right to remain silent. You know, or else anything you say here will be used against you in the court. We see that in the Nigerian movie.
Miranda rights.
Correct. But the thing is, if I am told that I'm a person of interest in anything, I'm not a kid. I will know what to say. In the case of the person I saw that who went with a lawyer, I will consult my lawyer before I go there and say something in the presence of my lawyer. But to say, don't cooperate, don't do anything, and we resist, that word resist is so undefined. And it is an affront to the rule of law coming from a lawyer. Janga is not just the chairman of the CTC. Janga is a lawyer by profession. And he's a progressive element. I mean, our differences, funny in saying CDC, on the other side, has not made me to erase his historical contribution to the struggles that we all have in this country. As a militant, and I think Janga was the financial secretary general of the OSU administration at the time we went into exile. So he's been up there. But I think this one, he dropped the ball. I know maybe he wants to please his base, because sometimes politics is about pleasing your base. You want to talk what they want to hear, but you always got to mark that against who am I? What are my values? Do I want to protect what I am versus just wanting to please people? You got to think, but I think I totally disagree with his assertion that something here is a wish hunt. I mean, so
talking about pleasing base, you also listening to the conversation with your ruling party chairman, where he talked about the base has been neglected to a larger extent, and calling on those who are appointed to look down at those who are unemployed at the moment. Minister Pia, as the spokesperson of the government, what do you have to say concerning that statement? Not as a Unity Party person, but as the spokesperson of the government. Should the government be looking into opportunities to provide employment in terms of government jobs, or creating an enabling environment? And if so, is the government creating an enabling environment to bring in investors, which was a key debate leading up to 2023, that there weren't investments coming into the country?
Which is basically not true. In fact, immediately we came from Asia, there have been multiple companies coming here, including the folks who will be running the starch factory. They've gone far over what they're supposed to do to begin to execute the work they're supposed to do. We were encouraging NIC because NIC has a summary metrics of the progress they've been able to make in attracting investors.
That's the National Investment
Commission. National Investment Commission. So, I mean, you made a point, and it's true, but it's a combination of both. Combination of both in the sense that people are being retired routinely from the public sector. Many things are taking people away. Some people are resigning because they see prospects in other places. For example, since I went to the ministry, the workforce was put at 413. Right now, the workforce is put at 353 or 57. You see the gap in between there? More than 60 persons, or more than 60 vacancies. The way the structure runs is that when you have these vacancies, you don't lose it, except when you don't make the effort to address it. Meanwhile, you don't have any authority. As the minister, I don't have authority to just grab people to employ. And the chairman acknowledged that. He said in ministries and agencies, they've not made any progress because the CSA putting a little hold to it. That statement for me means that the chairman knows that when the opportunity exists for employment, there's a process, there's a procedure to go through. And that procedure is open to all Liberians, including our partisans. So I think the lesson learned is he just saying, if there are instances like those who are not part of the civil service structure, say you're part of some public corporations, I'm sure he expects, and he had alluded to the fact that some of them have given attention, but I've also gone to some of these places, and I've seen people from the opposition, and I've seen people who even thought that somebody would run after them, especially the LPS, PRC. He mentioned that was my boy, Abu Bakar, how they call him? Abu Bakar Kone. You know, he's joking a lot. He led to West Money, this other thing in the podium, pay a picture all over the place. He's a panic, but he's there. I see one of the closer persons to the office of the MD. So there are procedures and processes. And for me, the message is for people who are partisans and non-partisans alike, when this opportunity exists, everybody should compete. They should apply. Because I cannot tell anybody, say, I'm putting you on period 9 in a ministry or agency. It's a CSA process. The job that you qualify for, you apply. CSA will restore the testing process, you will test. The process you're paying, they do everything, and eventually you meet all the requirements, you apply. But the main goal, which I agree with you on, is attracting investors is the key to job creation. But here is the problem that we are having also, that people should realize that it's everybody's business. It's a government business, it's their business. Take, for example, the Indian people who ran the Satellite Rubber Corporation. Do you know that they closed down their entire investment and they left the country? If it was not that Jetty rose up to the challenge, bought the company, is running the company, has expanded the workforce of the company, and so he was able to employ beyond the workforce that the company had before, it means more than 500, 600 jobs come. But not only that, another investor who's supposed to come will say, but the same Liberia, they chased the people from Sarah Rubber Corporation, or they almost killed them because they burned the house that the manager was living in. You follow that. That does not, no matter what the government tries to do, how the government tries to brand and sell the country, that it should be a place of attraction for investors. The investors will not get encouraged when they see all you do When you have disagreement in the concession area, is violence to the extent where you attempt to kill people, they will not come. We've had series of those. We had it happening in Yekepa, at Ashlamita. We had it happening at B Mountain. So the people's own contribution is you got to be willing to talk more and dialogue more about the issues you have in your workplace than the current approach we're taking, which also drives away investors.
Mr. Pierre, the conversation has been interesting. We're fastly running out of time, and I just want you to tell us in a summary if there, as we've been hearing, is going to be a cabinet reshuffle. We've heard from sources that after the State of the Nation address, there is going to be a major cabinet reshuffle. And secondly, what do we expect from President Boakai's SONA? What are the deliverables President Boakai is going to touch on? And what are the new information that he's going to give to Liberians that is going to give them hope for 2025?
So constitutionally, what the SONA is supposed to seek to achieve is for the president to present his legislative agenda and to address the country or the state of the nation's economy. That's a constitutional requirement.
Yeah.
But it's been traditional because I work as the press secretary to the former president. I've always been involved in the formulation of the message. There's a team put together that is doing the message. I'm a part of that team. I'm still here. I'm not with them because I didn't want to let you down. I gave you my words and I wanted to come. So I'm going to join them. So there's been, I say little say there's always been a tradition to go a little bit beyond just presenting the legislative agenda and giving the state of the nation's economy, to give an account of what you've been able to achieve. So from that angle, you expect the president to say, if we've done some great work on infrastructure development, you expect him to recount it. If we're making some progress in agriculture, which we are doing, rice, tree crops, coffee, cocoa, the amount of hectares that are being cultivated, that's the word. I got a first degree in agronomy.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know a lot about agriculture. The amount of hectares, whether it's rice, whether it's cassava, whether it's maize, because the agriculture minister focusing on maize production because many people are moving into poultry, and you get the fees of the chicks from maize. They've been importing a lot. They started to cultivate and engage in maize production because then you don't have to import. You get the fees right there. Are we making some progress in agriculture? Yes, I guess the president will be talking about that. What is the state of the nation? Is the nation's foundation towards wherever we're going? Is it solid? Is it strong? What is it? You're going to say it.
Is it solid?
It is. It is absolutely solid. Irrespective of the little jittery here and there, including some of the things I just said about people using violence as a means of addressing constraints they have in the concessional area, it is solid. You know, our international relations is excessively solid. Accountability, that's something I don't want us to slide away from because there's a mistake. That's part of it. President going to be telling the legislature, for example, what are we doing with regards to accountability? You know, you can't have your cake and eat it. At one point, we say it's good to hold people accountable. Then when you come and there's a survey that supports the fact that, for example, majority of Liberians believe there must be wartime accountability. So they want the war economic tranquil. When you take the initiative to move towards that, to ensure that people are held accountable, some come and say something else. Like some of the things we experienced recently. The president has been trying his best to lead by example. Immediately he took over, he saw the need to declare his asset. He did not only declare that, he made them public. If you compare that to the regime that he took over, that was a different scenario. Few of our colleagues dragged their feet a little bit. The LACC had to issue releases upon releases, threat coming from the president, giving an ultimatum. Eventually, there's compliance to a greater level. That supports the desire to be accountable. The GSC, the LACC, the Internal Audit Agency, don't forget, sometimes we're quick to forget as a country, Dan. Why did we say, or why was it that many people suspected that auditors were being killed? They didn't have the freedom to do their work. And some decided to stand out that they would do their work. And then they died under mysterious circumstances, and therefore everybody convinced. I hope we can bring to closure those ones. Because I know the police probably one time that all these files, they will pick them up, cold cases and run with them. I want to see us doing that because some of the relatives of the people, for example, Albert Peter's wife was here. when they had the diaspora homecoming recently, where all the Nigerians from abroad were here, she was here. She passed back to the office to see me. When she was speaking at the farewell, the president had with them, she put her hand out to ask a question, how to introduce herself. She went there because she wanted people to know who she was, and they, the wife of Albert Peters. People are still grieving. What have we done? The SEC chair, we just get out and say, the SEC is launching an investigation into how do they call it? Extra budgetary spending, off-budget spending. When there was all this noise about people spending outside of what is being approved, which is a long-term tradition and it works depending on, because, for example, nobody put money in the budget to say to help with the funeral of Jeremy Pia when he died. But I died and want to give money. If you ask for a minister to give you money, that money will be off budget because it's not budgeted for that. So off budget, but they were both to say we investigate this. The minute time issue they have problem with, they will issue the press release and say the GSC guy is doing his work without fear. He cares about nothing because he sees that there's no interference in the work they do. He also sees that nobody is threatening them for doing the work they've been chosen to do in the way they're supposed to do it. So if they come and say John Brown did this, Chief, you have only the Justice Ministry now to determine whether what he has from their investigation is enough, and that they as prosecutor can find evidence to charge you, so you go to court. And nobody's going to go to the man's door and knock it. So on that accountability, you see the fish gets ratting from the head because the president was taking all these. Take for example, everybody in the CDC government was corrupt, which is not true. In every government, you have some very good people, and I know there were some good people in the CDC. But from day one, our own people started taking the time. Oh, one of the things we said we'll do, we'll persecute people, we'll do this. How do you persecute people? There must be an investigation. Who does the investigation? The various anti-graft entities. When you fool, say, when you're wasting time for, I want you to do this work now, then you're interfering with the process. When you interfere with the process, you make it political, and therefore it will have no real meaning. So we have to take time and allow them to do their work, void of any intimidation and pressure. When they do it, and they bring it, what did you see? They were indictment. They summoned to a case and order. Some people try to play fun out of the asset recovery thing. You bring asset recovery thing or you bring President Waka. Asset recovery thing started their work. Somebody ran to the court, not just ordinary court, the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court put a stay order. And that stay order has been there for months. I heard, I think this week or next week, there's supposed to be some hearing again or debate or whatever it is before the Supreme Court on that issue. If the Supreme Court put a stay order and the matter is still before then, how can then somebody come and cry and say the Black administration were not concerned or were not sincere about asset recovery? How do you do that? When you want to forget about what the code says, tell the asset recovery thing, say, don't think about the code people, just go ahead and do anything you want to do with back you. Is that what they want? I heard my man Janga Ko talking, I will not leave the one because that's something he's pre-out to the public. And talking about the government is destabilizing the legislature, they're removing the speaker and blah, 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 blah. They violating the Constitution, the Bushra, they're doing that. Hey man, our laws are very clear. Nobody from any other place can remove anybody in the legislature from their roles. It is their internal issue, only they can do it. So, do you want the president to be getting involved in the issue? A group of them who got grievances, they want to remove somebody, say, President McJohn, and say, no, you will not do it. How is it possible that the president is the one that, as he's claiming, as a government, that the government is doing, that they are the ones who are removing somebody? So you don't respect the internal workings of the different separate but coordinated branches of government? How is it possible for the legislature, for the executive, through the president to determine what happens in the legislature? Is it not among themselves? And he's talking about constitutional breach. You know, look, I one person who reached the level ever since I said, look, when you get the chance to govern the country, just do what you're supposed to do and tell the people what you're doing. Don't keep going back comparing yourself with people because then we're not moving anywhere. But sometimes it is the things that Janga and others will do that want to force people to just remind people, say, look back. It's not in the same country. That just a few months into office, 47 condominiums were acquired by the one who was the leader. Is it not in the same country? Is it not in the same country somebody becomes minister of state and they're able to acquire a $250,000 home miraculously? Mimi or bank that gave them loan and investigation showed that was not even the case. Is it not in the same country COVID people that will take 30 million of our taxpayers' dollars and say we want to do COVID relief package and it ends up in people's pocket? Is it not in the same country where the U.S. rate that somebody will say was claiming Jacob ladder And of course, you expect government to act, and government says we act, want to remove the real rate claim because they are excess liquidity, they say. Is it not the same place they spend 25 million to remove the excess liquidity? It ended up in full of people's pockets and in places that don't exist, and eventually, and it ended up in people's pockets and nothing came from all of it. So we don't want to be dwelling on all these things, and if these are issues that are considered court cases, we expect that the appropriate people would act. I take interest more in saying what we're doing as a government and as a country. If I was a part of a government that claimed the hair was diamond medicine and bioroot medicine and everything they're supposed to be medicine for have been redone, not even allowing the people who empower them to start doing their own developmental stuff. They got to be fixing what you left. Look at the Ramafi Highway, for example. When were you there?
I was there 3 days ago.
3 days ago. What do you see? Tell the people, not me, I don't want to say.
Oh, no, but you the government spokesperson.
No, but you're here too. You see, you're independent mind.
You know, yeah,
right,
but you the government spokesperson.
But here's the point I'm making, Damo.
I did see progress.
Correct.
As compared to what was there before.
So here's the point I was trying to make.
There is progress going on, but you are the government spokesperson.
I agree. But here's the point I was trying to make. And it's important for you to know this. The same contractor that we all cry on, we lambasted, they were not performing. That the same contractors on the road. And you see I'm taking a group of journalists on a bus tour of all the infrastructure projects that are taking place with all their camera to visualize what we see. But it's not the same contractor that will say we're not performing, that doing our road. People in Matari were crying. The whole road in that place feeling like non-existent. They were dancing when we started the actual work. Go drive to, I live Broadway, so I'm on the road, I live into Bushel Island. Eventually, I on the way, people thought that the place is slow. When I passed there the morning, because I travel a little bit, when I passed there the morning, and I saw the drainage system that had been built from both sides in readiness to do the overlaying of the Kota straight up to St. Paul Bridge. And then the rest of the road, you address all the critical spots, because by February, by November this year, the Japanese are there to construct the road. So that when you can do no overlaying, that's you because you'll be wasting money, because by November they got to uproot everything. So from Freeport to St. Paul Bridge will be done. And the other one will just fill all the critical spots. You see some of them on the critical spot, they started putting rigid concrete there already, so that when the rainy season comes, it will not be a point, road, be pliable. And look all across, I was just driving, you go to AB Tower Road, you go to the other road, you couldn't pass through because the places are eating up desperately. Right. Those processes are on. These are not things that will be wasting time, because they should have done it. They said they were medicine for everything. We got to be struggling with that. And hey, we didn't have the road from Sester, that is from Buchanan to Sester, in any of our plans. Just the same international relations are talking about. We didn't be able to buy the African Development Bank into now concluding doing a feasibility, so that they can assist us to pave that road from Buchanan to Sester to Greenville. It's the same concept of the coastal highway we're talking about. So meanwhile, Mr. Pierre, I know you won't comment on that, but meanwhile, I want you to conclude that, because yeah. So and meanwhile, you really have to go. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Meanwhile, the progress of the road construction from Nima going towards Grand Jida, eventually linking to Fishtown, because you need to know that the road from Maryland, from Harper City to Fishtown, is paved. It's a process that we started when President Sedi was president, through African Development Bank. It's there in Fishtown. Everything you see us doing coming from the Nima end is to connect that place, and eventually, maybe between 2028, you can take a car from Monrovia straight onto Harper on paved road. Progress has been made on the road to Lofa. The work has resumed, because you know the thing alone, from the people you take the loan from, there's an arrangement that you gotta be making certain payment. And then as you're making the payment, then they do the part that's going to pay for the road to go. We defaulted all of that. Keep on, beautiful as it is. Have you been told that we're beginning the pavement of that road, I think next month or month after next, from Medina to Rabat Sports? All right. So it's taking development heads on. The politics will be there. People scared. They don't want you to perform. So they will try to misinform people. They're not doing nothing. They're only stealing. They're only doing it. They're only doing that. Probably seeing normal politics. And I always tell my colleagues, let them say their own. But you commit yourself to doing the work, because the fruit of the work will show. That's why it's important. Not just what people say. All right. The fruit of the work will show. Minister Pia, we asked for an extension. I have to go. I've been getting all of the signals, but we'll have another conversation. And as I said,
Thank you for availing yourself to us. We hope other officials of government can do the same. Other officials from the opposition community can also do
and I
the
want
same.
to promise you
so
that one of
we-
the officials I will be on her back to come here because we need to tell that story is the Minister of Health.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to, because you asked some health questions here that I didn't readily have answer to, that she got answer to, and she must come.
Yeah, that is what we need. We need people to appear and provide the information for us as well. All right, folks, that's all the time we have to be with Liberia's information minister. Actually, that's all the time we have to be on this program. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching.
But let me commend you for braving the storm to have your own show. And you're a smart journalist. I've always admired you.
Thank you.
And I pray that this show will work when you're having struggle with having government official who you want to talk to. Reach out to me if they're giving you a hard time. We'll see. I would make them to come.
All right, I'll do that. All right, Minister Lawmaker is the Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism. It's been a great show today, loaded and packed. We had to ask for an extension, which we have been given, but we cannot abuse that as well. We'll be back on Monday, and on Monday, our guest is none other than he's been heralded to have senatorial ambitions. Prophet Key, Mother Prophet Key wants to replace Senator Prince Yomi Johnson. That's what he's going to speak to, plus other national issues as well. Have yourselves a wonderful time. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening, and bye-bye. All right.